are the Bakuba kingdom. These textiles apply geometric patterns, and depending on how it's written, these patterns have been used to deduce some historical facts, as these were culturally significant symbols. And using this many geometric patterns in clothing, as you can see, it makes for a very intricate design. It's not a Bakuba thing, which is in the Congolese area. It's not just a Bakuba thing. I will show you that geometric patterns were used in ancient Egypt, in West Africa, in Southern Africa, in East Africa as a symbolic thing, especially zigzags, diamonds, triangles. These are the type of symbols that were used in order to portray messages. In other cultures, of course, you have geometric patterns, but they don't resemble the same thing. Instead of symbols of writing, like the you find in Africa, they are used in some places as, like in Arabia, as to show mathematical precision. So let's start with West Africa. We already know that West Africans used their clothes for symbolic texting, or sending messages, is more of a better way of saying it.
The designs in this kente fabric originated from the Ashanti people in Ghana, West Africa. The name comes from the Ashanti word kenten, which means basket, because of its woven look. The origins date back to the 12th century, and this fabric has traditionally been worn by royalty, kings and queens, and other important figures during ceremonial events. There are many different designs. Each design has a different historical, philosophical, or moral meaning. We will look at just two of these now. This first design represents aspiration, noble deeds, or sharing. The Ashanti name for this literally means one who climbs a tree worth climbing gets the help deserved. The meaning is that anyone who performs a noble deed deserves the support of the community.
Now, East Africa is one of those regions in Africa that maintains a lot of African culture. So East Africa also has a significance when it comes to the patterns on clothes. But East Africa, because they had writing, gears, long time ago, they actually preserved what some of these writings meant. And a lot of them had to do with magical spells. And as you saw with the Nigerian one, a lot of these are omens, or let's say miracle type stuff, where they're trying to give you thanks or trying to immunize you against something in the natural world. And in Ethiopia, you find this in spades back in the day. By the way, this is from the old Ethiopian kingdom. We find a book that talks about the difference between just normal patterns and these geometric patterns that are used for casting spells that you put on clothes in order for them to work. The short illustrated blog will explore some magic and divination in Ethiopian manuscripts and other items, such as amulets from the collection, making use of images from some of the best examples of the manuscript and amulets scrolls in British library collections, as well as containing spells, charts, magical squares, and numbers. These manuscripts are adorned with rich illustrations for an introduction to the amulets. And as you can see, there's all these patterns. And then, of course, because they have illustration, you can write something. And of course, they have numbers because they had mathematics.
So my final theme for my little natter today has to do with the presentation of images. There's another glorious picture of Archangel Michael. And what I really like about this image is that he's multi-armed. Okay, so we have two arms up here fighting the demons, and yet there are other arms down here holding kind of another sword. Okay. As I mentioned previously in relationship to thinking about geometric designs, we need to be careful of automatically bringing our contemporary scopic regimes, that is, our everyday ways of viewing things, to look at texts and images produced in quite different cultural contexts. Like much ritual image culture, images in this context have agency. That is, that they're attributed a liveliness or a capacity to do stuff. They are magical. That is, they're imbued with a power whose source is considered to be otherworldly or metaphysical. So they are not illustrations or harmless diagrams. Now, this is a very different way of thinking about images. We might be familiar with images affecting us emotionally, bringing us joy or happiness or rapture or rest, looking at all those cat images online in the middle of the day, or peacefulness or something like that. But it's a less familiar idea that the images can either be, one, ontological, that is, that they can actually be the being. Okay? That is, they're not a picture of a particular spirit being that it looks like, but it actually is that being. Okay? The spirit being taking up residence or is formed by the image. And secondly, that the images are capable of direct action, which affects the person or people directly. So, for example, they can heal an illness, they can make them full of lust with love magic, I'll give an example of that later, or they can do much nastier things, which I won't be talking about.
As you can see, cloth and patterns, geometric patterns, are said to be very influential and very linguistic and very alive, as I showed you in the kente cloth. But I will also go back to West Africa because we need to address the magical elements of these patterns in West Africa. But we shall read. And in a study, it says, scrolls are often carried with people, hung by string. Women must not wear them during menstruation or after sex. Scrolls under the pillow can stave off nightmares. They assist deep breathing and prayer. They seem to be refreshed by having the priest read the scroll on a visit. Sometimes scrolls are put on the certain central post of a house facing the door. As you can see on the manuscript, there are people wearing white cloth and they have borders around them. These borders are not merely just borders. A lot of them, again, would be spells or stuff like that. But then some of them were merely documents, a pre-Gaia's way of writing. And this writing can tell you about historical events, rank, power, all kinds of things, just like the other African cultures. And you can see there that these are geometric patterns. Very common, these squares, these diamonds. This clearly has a Christian bend to it with all these crosses, or an Ethiopian Christian bend with all the crosses, because the crosses of this kind existed in Ethiopia prior to Christianity.
Letter itself, it's called utate. It means take me. So this is the first love letter that the girl will have to make to the boy after proposing for many times, and then at the end the girl agreed, and then each color on top, that's where the letter is, that's where all the message is. And then the triangle facing down, it's a symbol of man. So the lady, she's saying, you are man enough to be my husband.
And then there's another letter.
The second letter, it's called a love letter as well, but it's got a special name called Itemba. It means my hope. And then it's got the designs, those designs, it's called shield design. So it means the woman is saying here, you are my hope, so I'm protected since I've got you as my loved one.
And then the third love letter is the two triangles.
Yes, only look at me, not to other ladies. So I've decided that I love you and you have to look only on me. That's why those things are facing each other.
And how about the colors?
The colors, you've got the green. And in this case, like she's saying, I know that you're not with me, working far away, but I'll wait. Green is a symbol of waiting. So like if you see water And on the rivers, you saw those stones against the river. Because the water keep on bumping to those stones, they turn into green. So that's how they use green as a symbol of waiting, because like wherever he left the woman, she will just be there until he comes back from the white people where he will be working in. Why I'm saying
that's the orange.
working on the white people, because it's got the orange, which means iPutukezi. So in Zulu, we translate it as the Portuguese as white people, because those were the people that we normally, our fathers and grandfathers would go to Joburg or Durban to work in mines with them. And then the blue color, it's symbolizing of missing someone. She would be missing the one that she loved, but what can she do? She will wait because she's there to work for the family.
And then the final love letter, which is on top.
That was the latest love letter that she made when they start like putting words now like alphabets. Izazi are the wise men. So she is referring to his husband as one of the wise men, and she will always love and wait for her, for him. Yeah.
And the other love letter, which is dimensional, shows the man and the woman.
It's
marriage.
Yes, yes, and it's got those triangle also that you see on that love letter. It's more like emphasizing that, yeah, when I said look only on me, and then it's on a euphorbia tree design. So it's a special design that's common from the area of Ishowe and surrounding.
And we have installed the love letters from earliest to latest, bottom to top, which is the way they would be worn.
Yes.
Like the Ethiopian one, when the Europeans got to Africa and they found these symbols, some of the people became educated in reading and writing in English or in English symbols. And as you can see with this Zulu pattern and translation, it has the word izazi, which means knowledge or knowers. And this is the reason why this pattern is not that popular anymore, because most people became literate in Africa, and so they didn't need 1,000 beads that would cost them their entire life in order to send letters anymore.
The colourful beadwork made and worn by all Zulu girls is far more than just a charming decoration, for a whole secret language lies behind the arrangement of these bright colours and gay patterns, messages of constancy to an absent lover, or of reproach to a faithless suitor, all the schemes and plans of a designing Zulu maiden.
To the observant of you, you will notice that the kente cloth, the Zulu beads, the Kuba Kingdom graphic designs on clothes, and the Ethiopian borders that have these zigzag triangle patterns, they have this computer look about them, this digital look about them. And the reason why they have this is because of a true dedication to accurate geometry. And because of this accurate geometry, it looks like it's designed by a computer. It almost looks pixelated. But this is due to geometry. This is true African similarities. And in Egypt, it's just everywhere. Due to the repetition of these patterns, they create a fractal pattern. And as you can see with the Ethiopian crosses, they look like four fractals just fractaling out of each other. But again, this is a digital or a graphical feature that is common within all these cultures. And as you can see, it's not just held down in fabrics, it's in talismans, it's in all kinds of things that you would put on your body. And that's the kind of the key, to put it on your body so that it works on you.
Bakuba textiles are a medium for a visual symbolic language which communicates cultural ideas through artistic expression. Their raffia cloth textiles weave together this society through the cloth's utilitarian, economic, spiritual, and social functions. Now that we understand the functions of raffia cloth, let's take a closer look at the inventive designs for which the Bakuba are particularly known for. I will discuss the design's origins, formal elements, styles, and their symbolic significance in this African society. Bakuba textile designs were born of several influences, really taking shape over their long history as something unique to the Bakuba. Bakuba designs are akin to the flow of music and dance, with rhythmic play of shape and line, accentuated form and unified pattern, all balanced within their spatial complexity. All of this is intriguing, but it is the formal qualities of the design which elevate these textiles as exceptional works of art. Patterns are produced from the manipulation of three elements, that is, line, color, and texture. Line is used to create shape and give the feeling of movement within a piece. Shapes are almost always geometric and rectilinear, favoring triangles, lozenge shapes or diamonds, and rectangles. The predominant colors used, and this is throughout Central Africa, are white, what is called white, it's actually beige, but it's referred to as white. So we have white, brown, black, and red. Though these colors do have symbolic meaning, it is not the range of colors which is most important, rather the proximity of contrasting light and dark hues. And I've used this textile here as an example of that from Molly Shepard's collection in homage to Africa. It might be my most favorite textile in the collection. Texture variations are used to create visual depth and diversity within a piece. A strong sense of composition allows the embroiderers the freedom to play with these three elements and achieve inventive designs while maintaining overall unity. There are three trends in Bakuba design, one which is based in numbers, in which the Ngongo excelled, and whose style is more concerned with defining measured structures than with artistic expression. However, I think it's a good representation of those sort of measured numerical structures. The second design trend, in which the Shua excelled, focuses on visual effects that trick the eye of the viewer. Distinct among Kuba textile designs are that of the royal bouchon, which aim for perfect pattern symmetry and attend to a sober, conservative, and hierarchical structure, which mimics the values of their political system. Now that I have detailed the formal qualities of these designs, I will discuss their role in a greater cultural context. Bakuba design must not merely be reduced to its decorative function. According to Moraga, textile arts ultimately represent Bakuba's most versatile, dynamic, and imaginative form of visual expression, and the most important medium for an abstract visual language. Raffia cloth textiles communicate these cultural ideas and concepts through their embroidered design. The visual language that Moraga refers to is the summation of a body of symbols and patterns, and each may be interpreted in multiple ways. Pattern names fall into three categories. The first are names which commemorate a famous individual or the creator of the pattern. The second, pattern names which refer to a part of an object, such as the foot of a chicken. And the third and most abstract naming category are pattern names which refer to the activity of an object. For example, the use of interlocking hooks to symbolize the act of hugging your child. Some Bakuba textile designs fall into a language of patterns called the script. The script is considered a women's language and follows paths, circuits, and systems to express cultural concepts and ideas. The script is used in both textile arts and female scarification practices. According to Georges Morant, a Dutch artist and scholar well versed in Central African textile design, it can be said that design is a mode of thought which cannot be put into words.
As you see there are so many similarities between the Ethiopian script, the Zulu beadwork, the West African patterns, cloth patterns, that it's just uncanny, from geometric shapes and all this other stuff. And of course, because there's an underlying mathematical thing to geometry, these geometrical shapes have to do with some kind of mathematics. Now, Euclidean geometry cannot create fractals, and these geometry patterns always create fractals because of, if you just copy one side to the other and then you do it over and over again, you start to get fractals. And this is not a small thing. This means that all of these fall under the same geometric style.
The beads are placed in different parts of the body. Certainly, the head is decorated, as we're going to see with some of the crowns, that indicate their role as a priest or a priestess. And then we'll know that they are a priest or a devotee of that divinity because of the color combinations. And this gets into Yoruba concepts of chromatics, of color, symbolism, color intention. The Yoruba have three categories of colors. The hot colors, known as the pupa colors, reds and bright yellows. These are the hot colors. At the other extreme are the cool colors, the tutu colors. And that, for the Yoruba, is white. White is coolness, it's supreme coolness. So we have the hot colors at one end. With that kind of introduction, let's talk about the robe.
Okay.
You have a question for me?
Do you want to switch to the back or leave the front?
Now, let's leave the front for now.
Okay.
And then we'll talk about it. So this is a royal beaded robe for a king, by its size, probably a king, not a queen. And it's got a whole series of these triangular motifs in panels that you're seeing, along with these concentric circles. And the concentric circles, I think, are kind of a reference in a larger sense to the Yoruba notion of the universe as a gourd, an enclosed gourd, which one half is the spiritual realm and the other half the worldly realm. And those are the things that a ruler has to deal with, social matters as well as spiritual matters. We also see a series of concentric rectangles on one side of
This geometric style might lie at the bottom of the ancient Egyptian writing system, which would be understandable to show why it was so different than all the other writing systems from around the world. And then secondly, it will also help us, these African symbols, to decipher why other ancient Egyptian jewelry and makes have strange patterns all over them that seem to have no meaning, that seem to just be a interlocutor design where you just go, oh, that's a cool design, and you move on. Maybe there's a message there in the back that would have been understood by a more, let's say, uneducated person who wouldn't be familiar with hieroglyphics or the hieratic script. And so he would still have some level of communication